All right, welcome once again to the Dr. Digital podcast. And we're talking about the 15 ways to improve your creative writing. And so, what I have for today, we're talking about getting into the minds of your characters. And we're going to do that as well. This is part two, though, of getting into the minds of your characters. Of course, this is based on Burning America and the best interest of the children. So, you can check that out as well. You can do some reading, get some background, and see how things are done in the creative writing world. So with that as the introduction, what we have now is talking about getting into the minds of your characters. This is way 12, of course, getting into the minds of your characters, but part two, because you've already had one on way one, and that was something we had in the last time. So did you enjoy the scripts? Now I had some bonus material for you as well. Those scripts can be used because those are references as we continue on with the 5 ways you can get into the minds of your characters with this part and way 2. There's always more that you can develop in your head that makes a character more layered, more honest. And that's a quote from Regina King. That's really helpful to keep in mind. Topic 5 ways that you can get into the minds of your characters, part 2. And in this lesson, I discussed 3 more ways, because I covered the first 2 already, how you can get into the minds of your characters. Atmosphere, the location you set your script in, is your canvas. That's where you lay down the foundation of your story and your characters. Having a sense for those locations and those atmospheres, that they will elevate your storytelling, and you can easily picture yourself as a character in those settings. If you're writing about characters in a small town, go visit a small town. If you're writing about characters that are on a road trip, go on a road trip. If you're writing about characters battling the elements, explore those elements. If you're writing about characters lost in the woods at night, go for a drive or a hike in the dark woods. It's easy to say, well, I can't go off and climb a mountain because I'm writing a script about climbing mountains. However, you can just as easily find something close to that experience. And if you can't, then you can revert to your research and use the many beautiful and well-shot documentaries about mountain climbing in nearly any other location in the world. Go the distance and do whatever you can to get yourself into those environments, because the payoff will be priceless in your screenwriting. Go to whatever lengths you can in order to get into the environments that your characters will be in. When you're in that atmosphere, you know the sounds, the smells, and the overall feel of what your characters will experience. And yes, that will translate very well into your script. Imagination. You've put yourself in your character's shoes and surroundings. You've done the research. Now it's time to utilize that imagination of yours. This is where your characters are developed. This is where they grow from those seeds that you've been watering in your own mind through this concept development process. You accomplish this by asking yourself questions. What would my character do in this situation? What would hurt my character most? How would my character react to this conflict? How would my character shine in this scenario? These are just a few of the many questions you should be asking yourself now that you've gotten into the mind of your character a little more. The answers that you come up with using that imagination, fueled by the information you've picked up about your character along the way, are your story. Only when you truly know your characters can you possibly write about how they react to any given situation or conflict that you throw at them. That's what makes cinematic characters believable. Acting. This comes full circle to where method screenwriting originates from, method acting. When you're creating dialogue for your character, which is driven by what you've learned about the mindset of those characters, you need to do a little acting yourself. If you're writing in a coffee shop or a bookstore, you can internalize it. If you're writing in an office or a dark corner of your home alone, don't be afraid to act things out. Who cares? There's no one watching. In order to write believable dialogue for your characters, the words need to be said out loud. You can whisper them in public to yourself or use your full voice in private, whatever it takes. Either way, they need to be said, and all too often, they need to be delivered as they would by your character. When you utilize these 5 techniques for getting into the mind of your characters, you can rest assured that they will come to life on that page. The work you've done will be very evident. The story will be stronger. The script will be more castable in the eyes of executives, producers, representatives, and talent. Assignment: take a look at your drama concept and the development materials you've created so far. Try to develop your characters more. Try to get into their heads, mold them, and shape them. Start your research. Plan some trips. It's time to begin to get into their minds. Use these 5 techniques to do that as you continue on through the ways of the 15 and later prepare to write the script. For today, take some time to write out some added depth notes for each of your main and supporting characters that you already have in mind. These can be bullet points, brief fragments, or detailed paragraphs. Consider these 5 techniques I've discussed and start this process of getting into the character's mind. Well, that's it for this particular episode. So, what I've tried to do in part 2 here is get into the character's mind. So, check out part 1 and part 2, and I've got more because we've got 15 creative ways in order to develop your creative writing. And where does all this come from? For a lot of us, we are writing. So, burning America in the best interest of the children. Until next time, that's it for this particular episode. Till next time, Dave.